income households earning the current federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour in the United States cannot support a two-person household above the poverty line. David Cooper, the director of the Economic Analysis and Research Network, wrote a report in 2017 titled Raising the Minimum Wage to $15 by 2024 would lift wages for 41 million American workers, and he provides a table showing that in 2016, a person working 40 hours per week at the minimum wage of $7.25 earned less than the poverty level of $16.20 gross annual income for a two-person household, and far below the poverty levels for a three- or four-person household. More recently, healthcare.gov reports that due to the inflation, the current poverty level in the United States for a two-person household in 2023 is now $19,722 gross income annual, while there are still 20 U.S. states using the federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. Many experts and social media users have long argued that the minimum wage should be increased to $15 per hour, and one support this argument since doubling the current federal minimum wage is the only way to make a noticeable difference in the economy. Though this specific amount of $15 per hour may seem arbitrary, economists reach this number through a few different studies and reports. A study concluded by John Loprski and Kevin Mumford titled Who Benefits from a Minimum Wage Increase? And published in the Journal of Industrial and Labor Relations Review and the Current Population Survey from the Census Bureau to gather data from over 100,000 households between August 2005 and June 2008. Cases where the state minimum wage increased over 20% of the original minimum wage during the time led to very strong positive wage effects, especially for workers who were previously earned the original minimum wage or less than 10% above it. Meanwhile, workers who experience anywhere from 5% minimum wage increase to 20% increase only experience small, often statistically insufficient wage effects. And low wage workers who experience a minimum wage increase that less than 5% of their original minimum wage actually had up to 22% decrease in wage growth, which the researchers theorized was because if the minimum wage increase is small, employers react by increasing low wage workers' wage only by the required amount, instead of keeping up with the inflation and the economic conditions. Cooper's 2017 report provides additional tables that projects the change in the economy's productivity from 1968 to 2024, net dispersion and adjusted for inflation. One table shows the spending power of various minimum wages from 1968 to 2016 and projects the spending power of the current federal minimum wage of $7.25 from 2016 to 2024. This table shows that the spending power of the minimum wage has gradually decreased, with the 2016 minimum wage of $7.25 having the lowest buying power thus far. Thus, spending power has only continued to decrease in the years since the report. A third table shows that increasing the minimum wage to $50 per hour would raise all full-time workers, those working 40 hours per week, in the United States above the poverty level. A counter-argument addressed by Cooper in his report is the idea that an increase in the minimum wage of $15 per hour may result in less hours being worked by low-wage employees, causing a decrease in companies' productivity and overall income, or even some unskilled workers' inability to find work. In response, Cooper explains that these two situations are very rare and unlikely, and the average decrease in hours worked by these employees may indicate their ability to quit part-time jobs, take more days off, or work less hours per week. Cooper argues the opponents of a minimum wage raises have misconceptions of low-wage workers, and he provides extensive demographics of low-wage workers and data on how the minimum wage increases would affect them, explaining that there is currently high turnover for jobs in the low-wage sector. So an increased minimum wage would actually decrease such turnover and increase job stability, improving financial situations for both the employee and employer. Most importantly, Cooper provides other sources which show that the labor productivity in the United States has increased in a way that it can sufficiently support such an improvement in the quality of life for all of its workers, Thus, it would not be unreasonable to demand higher pay to match this economic growth, since any burden placed on employers would be offset by productivity and their employees' well being. Cooper, Lopresky, and Mumford are plenty of the other researchers and economic experts have studied the minimum wage and its functionality in today's economy. Most of the research shows that a minimum of 20% increase to the federal minimum wage in the United States is needed to improve the financial and personal well being of workers. Through considering the current state of the United States economy, a raise to $15 per hour would be better to solve the issues of Americans living under the poverty level. It is in my belief and my hope that the United States will resolve to increase the minimum wage accordance with the demands of growing inflation and increasingly difficult economy.